Hello, I'm Negru from Negura Bunget. You are watching Whiskey Soda TV.
Thanks, Negru, for taking the time to do this interview. There has been some controversy about Negura Bunget because 2 members left, and you continued on with the band. And some fans might say, it's not the same band anymore, and this and that. But apparently, you felt pretty strongly, and it was out of the question for you to say no. Negura Bunget is not that, and it's still what I want to do with other people that had already played live with the band. So what are your reasons? Can you just explain a little bit on continuing with the band?
Actually, for me, there was never a doubt about whether to do this or not to do it, so I had no doubts about that. The only thing I had to make sure was to be able to keep things at the same level and even try to put them higher. So as soon as I was sure that I can do that, then, as I said, I had no doubts about doing this. I mean, Negura Bunget was pretty much my life for the 15 years, and I really had no reason why not to do it. I mean, I understand what my other 2 friends, they decided their own path. I had no problem with that, but still, that doesn't change the thing I felt and doesn't change anything for me and Negura Bunget. I mean, in the end, Negura Bunget was always more than the individuals who were in the band, because we had quite an extended lineup all the time, so different people playing, but what mattered was the concept that united together. So I think that is still present, and there will always be, because as soon as things will change in that area, then there is no reason to continue the band.
Okay, you just talked about how you wanted to keep things on a pretty high level, especially, the 2006 record of Negura Bunget. It was widely regarded as one of the best black or any metal releases of the last decade in many magazines. So I know it might not have affected you when you recorded the new album, but I assume, getting such acknowledgement does have to resonate with you on some level and might put a little bit of pressure on you to really come up with something to really keep the level that high.
Well, actually, as soon as we ended that album, then moment later we started to focus on what's next, and no matter how well the old album is seen by the people, you just have to let the thing apart, because if you always try, I have to do something better or something, then it's not, I don't think this is the most important thing. You just have to focus, and I was focused and all the band was focused into doing the best thing we can do now, what the things that represent us for the moment. So I think if we manage to do that and put our effort into that, then people will appreciate it. If not, we'll try harder next time. You cannot see the past and do things accordingly to the past. You just have to look into the future and do what's best for the future. And yes, there was a bit of pressure, because when people like so much an album, you would like to keep the same path with the new album. So, but that's more like something shallow, not the deep things.
Okay. Still, when two members left the band that had shaped the band's sound and its development for so long, and you had to kind of assemble a new band. Well, there were people that had already played with you and you were familiar with, but still, it's a new lineup. How is this new lineup working with the new lineup, especially your role as a songwriter? Different from before, or is it pretty much the same? Does it feel different?
Yeah, of course, a lot of things change, so they are a bit different. But I think, again, what made Negura Bunget music a bit different was the concept from behind, and that is still the same. And from this matter, we followed a quite similar approach. First, there was the idea of the album and the concept, and then we tried to put that into music. That's how we worked also in the past. And it was again a collective work. Everybody who was in the band was working into making the music. And this was again similar. But of course, with the new members and new people, there's always new things. So we worked things somehow more differently. And it was a new experience. I somehow see this new album is partly a continuation of our work in the past, but is also something new developing as well. So it's a kind of mixing point. And in the future, probably we'll develop more the personal involvement of the actual lineup.
Okay, you just talked about the concept behind the new album. So since all the lyrics are in Romanian and, well, many people don't understand Romanian, obviously outside of Romania, can you... I know it's complicated to say, okay, that's the concept in a nutshell, but for someone who has the album and just the music and then the lyrics and doesn't understand it a bit, how would you summarize what this album is about?
Well, I think we tried to capture a bit some of the essence in the album title. So, Vîrstele Pa would be something like the ages of the land or ages of the earth. So, it's an album about different ages, both in time or different in spiritual matters. It's not necessarily a chronological stuff. It's different from different perspective, maybe, which all put together shape somehow a reality of the place we came from. So it's a vision from the past, but also one that shapes our future. So each time we explore our local spirituality or history, it opens new horizons for us in the present. So it's not like we are focused only in the past. The past can help you understand better the present and help you evolve in the future. So it was always like that for us, and this album is again like this. I'm not sure if it's a summarize, but it's quite complex because each song somehow deals with a different matter. They have common elements, but they are quite different at the same time. Each has pretty much its own concept.
Okay, you also recorded the album in kind of secluded area.
So it was just for creating the album. Yeah.
Not the recording process, but the creation, so to be really inspired by that. And also you highlight this connection to the nature by having actual earth from the place as a supplement in the special edition of the album. So what is this element of nature? What is your personal connection to nature? What do you feel? What's so important about it for you personally?
I think this is actually something quite hard to put into words. You just have to had it inside you, and that's all. Once you get there and you are in the middle of nature, it's just a natural feeling that you belong there. So it's just a personal thing for us, which inspires us and powers us into do the things. So we explore it as much as we can. And going and that seclusion and working in the album was one of the best experience we had, because it also allowed us to focus only. It's not the same thing when you do like 4 hours each day working, or when you go there and all you have to do is think about this, even if you're not playing, but your mind is almost all the time focused on that. So it's quite a different experience. And being there in the middle of the nature, because it was a very nice place where we were stayed, it was very inspiring and empowering. Because in the end, that's what nature can do for you, give you the power, unleash new forces in you. And if you can really connect with that, it's again something just happens naturally. It's not something you can put into words.
Okay, but you're trying to put it into music somehow, and what I'm interested in, there are a lot of, I'd say, like folk music elements on the new record and also on the previous ones, really giving an impression of what you just tried to talk about. But the band still retains its roots in black metal, which is also apparent on the new album. And I'm just wondering what this, very specific style of music you still weave into your overall sound. What's so special about that? Where does this come from, to use this very harsh form of music in your sound?
I think in the end the music is just a reflection of who we are as individuals. So that nature element you said, it's something that's present in everything we live around, in the local folklore, in the local spirituality, literature, everything. There is a strong connection with the local nature, because it's what shaped us as people in the end. It's a relation which goes back a lot of time, and somehow it's a bit lost nowadays. People do not have that relation with everything that's natural. It's not just the nature itself, just the natural elements. And because we do have that thing and we enjoy exploring it, that's of course reflected in the music. And now going to the style of the music, I think for us there was always like Negura Bunget is a black metal band in the end. We try to explore new things, bring new elements, but we still like to keep inside the black metal. Because for us, the black metal is somehow the only musical genre where the music is not the most important thing. There's always the ideology and the things that actually power the music. And that's why what I always see so different between this kind of music, and that's why I always felt really connected with the black metal. And for us the key was always to keep that balance between the more aggressive elements and between the more atmospheric or folk or psychedelic or whatever. And dealing with all these kind of elements is quite a fascination, and it's always a pleasure to do that.
Okay, last thing I want to talk about is the beginnings of the band in the mid-90s, because only a couple of years prior to that, Romania got rid of its dictator Ceausescu, became part of Europe again, and so I think many people are wondering how the scene looked like back in the days when your band started. Not just like the metal scene, but overall like the underground music scene in Romania. Questions like, did you get all the albums you wanted to hear during that time, and how many opportunities did you actually have to play live and stuff like that?
Well, I think in the end it depends on what you can do for yourself, and that's what the attitude we always had, to do things on our own, never expect any help or support from anybody else. We just try to do as much as we can on our own. So I cannot say we didn't had the chance to listen to all kind of music. It was not easy to find it, but it was possible. So we did listen to pretty much everything we wanted to listen to. For the concert and the metal underground in Romania, I think it was very little, so to say. And I think we were maybe, if not the first black metal band, then certainly the first one who actually did something to get noticed. Maybe there were some projects who were just never meant to happen, but for sure, when we actually started the band, we played at one of the biggest festivals there was there, and people were a bit shocked to see this kind of music and us. So it was, so to say, a very powerful start. And things were different a bit back then. There was more enthusiasm and more innocence, so to say. People just did everything more with their heart, not like a business or something, because there was no business. But now, so to say, there is more underground, but things change a bit for the better, but also quite a bit for the worse. So again, I cannot say it was easy for us, but I cannot say it was very difficult. We just managed to do everything we had to do, so we cannot complain about anything.
Okay, so thanks again for taking the time for the interview, and have a great show tonight. Bye.